Well, now to emigration. The number of Irish people leaving the country rose to 46,500 last year. That's the highest level since the recession began. The numbers of Irish people returning to live here had been rising, but that too is now on the decline again. Well, to examine the facts and the faces behind these statistics, our reporter Aisling Reardon is in Dublin city centre.
Thanks, Keelan. Now, just to explain where I am, I'm here in 9 Crow Street, a new shop that's been opened up by 3 young Irish who have decided not to emigrate, and I'll be chatting to one of those in just a second. But first, I'm going to chat to Dr. Mary Gilmartin, who is a migration expert from the NUI Maynooth College. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Now, Keelan mentioned some of the figures there. Can you explain what's going on here, the trends?
Well, the main trend is that there's been a very big increase in the numbers of people emigrating from Ireland. The estimates for 2013 were that almost 90,000 people emigrated from the country to a variety of destinations. The UK is probably the main destination.
And, it's 46,000, that's of Irish nationals.
That's right. And it's difficult to know exactly where they're going, but it does seem like the UK, Australia, Canada and the US are the main destinations.
Now, women and men, there's some interesting statistics going on there.
That's right. When the recession started in 2008, we saw a very big increase in the number of men emigrating from Ireland, but women are now catching up. So in the year to 2013, there was a big increase in the number of women emigrating, and so now it's 50-50 again.
Now, young people, it's always young people.
That's right. I mean, the trend during the Celtic Tiger and now since the recession has started has been that the majority of people leaving are in the 15 to 44 age group. Research from UCC in Cork suggested that 70% of people emigrating are in fact in their 20s. But the 2013 figures again suggest that women are leaving at a younger age than men.
OK, now tell me the why. Why are people leaving? Why are there more women now leaving? What's the reason?
Well, again, the UCC research suggests that people are leaving for a variety of reasons. Up to 50% of the people who left were in employment but felt that they didn't have job prospects. Many were unemployed or underemployed. So people are certainly leaving for economic reasons. People are leaving to study and people are leaving for adventure. So we're seeing all of those as potential reasons. But we can certainly see that the very big increase is connected to the deterioration of the economic situation. As to why there is a big increase in the numbers of women leaving and a big increase in the number of younger women leaving, I'm sure that the public sector recruitment ban is connected to that. Women who are trained as nurses, for example, or as teachers, or in other areas that are employed by the public sector are unable to get work or are only able to get work in very poor conditions and on temporary contracts.
Now, I know myself that I have lots of friends who went over to Canada, Australia, and they've come back. So now, there was an increase in 2 years and now this year there was a slight decrease. What's going on there?
Again, what we saw when the recession started was a drop in the numbers of Irish nationals returning to Ireland. So it had been at a relatively consistent level during the Celtic Tiger and dropped after 2008. It rose again in 2011 and 2012 and again has dropped by about 5,000 in 2013. We're speculating on why that might be. We don't have any definitive reasons, but it could be that people are translating temporary stays in places like Australia and Canada into more permanent stays, that they're able to get permanent residency or long-term residency now.
OK, thanks a million, Mary. OK, so we'll move down the shop here and we'll meet Emma Fraser, who is the owner of this shop. Now, you're one of the young Irish who has decided to stay here. Yeah. You're in, what age are you?
I'm 26.
So, OK, so you're in your 20s.
I started the business when I was 23.
Really? Yeah. OK, so you're an entrepreneur.
Yes, I suppose you could say that.
Now, tell me why you decided not to leave.
I suppose I grew up here and when I started my business we worked purely on favours, so there was no way of doing that anywhere else. We saw a niche in the market for the vintage clothing stuff here, and I suppose being close to home, the support you can get from your family really helps with starting a business.
Now, you have 2 business partners who actually lived in London and came back. The 3 of you didn't go to college, so how did you manage to break in?
I suppose we put ourselves through a college of sorts. We started small and have been building up since then and making all the mistakes as we went along. So self-taught stuff, I suppose.
Great. And you do have a website and an artistic space. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, we had a store in Temple Bar for a couple of years and then moved online for a year last year, where we started an artist studio over on Amiens Street. We've been renovating the building slowly and filling it up with different creative businesses, and then opened here 2 weeks ago.
And yeah, how's it going?
Really good, great response so far. Lots of people coming in saying it's great to see young people starting up something here, so hopefully it'll spread a bit of inspiration.
So you can survive, you know?
Yeah. No, definitely. It's going well enough that the three of us can survive, so I'm happy.
Okay, excellent. And I presume lots of your friends have emigrated.
A huge amount of our friends have emigrated, but we've got a small little hub of collective creative people here who are still trying to make it work.
Okay, thanks Emma, and thanks for having us in your store. So if we move down to chat to Maura Murphy from the We're Not Leaving campaign, and also to Joe O'Connor, the President of the Union of Students in Ireland. Okay, Maura, tell me a bit about this We're Not Leaving campaign.
Okay, well, it's a recently set up campaign to address what we understand is the youth crisis existing in Ireland at the moment. So we're campaigning on a number of different issues that are interrelated. The main one is, of course, forced emigration. What we would see is emigration that's happening in this country through economic coercion, through the policies of the government that is making it impossible for people to stay and find work. So related to this then is youth unemployment, which is now at 30% actually in the country. But on top of that, there's also a number of social and economic issues that are contributing to this impossible situation. So we're also campaigning on housing issues and student issues, mental health. We would understand there's also a mental health crisis in Ireland for young people especially, and then also precarious work and internships. So we're campaigning on quite a broad range of issues, but again, as I said, we do see them as completely interrelated.
Now tell me a bit about your situation.
So I'm 24 and I'm unemployed at the moment, and like many people in Ireland who are unemployed and young, I would be falling under the dole discrimination. So I only have €144 to live on, whereas if you're above a certain age you get the full amount. So that's one issue that's very big and has a huge impact on my own life, because I can barely afford to feed myself. And somehow the government can justify the recent cuts to social welfare on the basis that it'll give young people an impetus to get motivated to find work, which simply doesn't exist. At the moment there's 26 applications for every job in Ireland, so the idea that this is the case is ludicrous. Now at the same time we can see that the government is saying that people should set up small businesses, should take up kind of an entrepreneurial stance, but we know that that's not feasible for the vast majority of people. People are either going to leave or they're going to be driven into dire poverty in this country. People who are not maybe necessarily educated, who don't have access to education, who don't have access to adequate facilities, things like that, they're going to be driven into poverty. They don't have the money to even leave the country in the first place. So we have to look at that as well. We have to see these people, the people who are going to be driven into poverty, who are going to have serious mental health concerns for a very long time. This is a long-term effect of the crisis and the fact that the government is not investing in real jobs.
And what's your plan of action now?
Well, at the moment we've just recently had a big Young People's Assembly where we've formulated a youth charter. So in that charter we have a number of different action points that we have in relation to all the different issues that then we're going to take and we can campaign on concretely in the next year. One of the main things that we are campaigning on, as I mentioned, is the cuts to social welfare, which is going to be enormous when it comes in next year. People between the age of 18 and 21 can only live on, or 18 and 24 actually, can only live on €100 a week, which is completely unacceptable. So that's a big one. Another one as well is the JobBridge internship scheme, which we see as entirely unacceptable and is eroding workplace conditions. So those are the two things that we'll be campaigning on, but there will be many more.
Okay, and you're not sitting on the couch watching television?
No, I don't even have a television, and it certainly wouldn't have a flat screen television if I had one.
Okay, thanks a million, Maura. Okay, Joe, from the students' perspective, many students want to leave the country and get experience and enjoy themselves for a year or two, and when they come back, they're at a more kind of positive advantage to get the job ahead of other people. So is that what you're seeing?
Well, it's absolutely always been the case that there's a certain amount of students and young people that do want to emigrate for various different reasons. But what we're talking about here is a completely different matter, and that's forced emigration. A huge amount of our own membership and people that we've seen coming through the third level education system and recent graduates have been forced to leave the country because of a lack of work and a lack of opportunities here. Our recent study by the Irish League of Credit Unions showed that 56% of students who were due to graduate this year expected to have to leave the country and emigrate after they had finished their degree. So this has contributed to a real brain drain where the best and brightest of our most highly skilled, highly qualified graduates have been forced to leave the country. One major factor that has contributed to this is that a number of years ago when I finished college myself, a lot of young people around my age would have been faced with three choices when they left college. Because they couldn't find work in their chosen field, they had to either emigrate, to go on the dole, or to go on and do a postgraduate course. Since then, postgraduate grants and maintenance have been essentially scrapped in this country, which has meant for many people that third option has now effectively been taken away. away. So that's really contributed to the difficulties that are being faced. We've seen the European Youth Guarantee Scheme has been recently announced in Ireland, but however the €14 million investment that was announced in the budget is a paltry sum and is very, very substandard in terms of the real crises out there affecting young people at the moment. The scheme is designed to mean that any young person who's out of work, education or training for longer than 4 months is provided with a place or an opportunity, but with the amount of money that's currently been put in, there's no way that could become a reality. So we're calling on the government to adequately invest in this and to deal with the real crises that are facing young people and students in the country today.
Aisling Reardon reporting there from Dublin City Centre. Well, now